Una, dos, tres. Good morning, everyone. This is Power Morning Talks, and today we have our first guest, Christian Vermorken. Thanks for being here. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, which is AI and how it can help us with our entrepreneurial world, how it can help us grow our company, but also how it can help us to do our job better in our corporative world. We start by defining what is AI.
Yes, of course. And that's a very good thing to start with, I would say, because there's some misunderstandings there, right? AI, artificial intelligence, it's not genuine intelligence the way you think or the way I think, right? It's just, in the end, a very sophisticated computer program that just gets an input, matches patterns, does its thing, and it presents you with an output, but there's no rational thought behind it.
Starting by the name is artificial intelligence, but that is not really intelligence.
It's definitely very different from human intelligence, yes.
Could you help us understand or let us know how can we understand it?
Right, try to get a bit deeper of than just going in how do I use ChatGPT, how can I improve my prompts, which is it's useful, but they're evolving so quickly. What you learn there today in 1 year might be obsolete.
You wouldn't recommend buy this course, read this book?
Not really. Try to, and you don't need to get into the level of how do you build an AI, right? But try to get a bit more of a fundamental understanding of what does it actually do, right? That is not what we just said. That is not the actual intelligence, but it's just a computer program. Try to understand what it is and try to understand through that also then its limitations and where it can help you a lot and where it can't.
And what is the hype about AI lately?
I would say that's kind of started once OpenAI came with their big first ChatGPT model, right? Which is a really cool thing. It's from a technological standpoint, it's amazing, right? And you just talk to it and it gives you an answer, and the answer seems very reasonable. It seems very great, but it's still just a piece of technology and it has its limitations. Now, by just talking to that, you don't notice those limitations unless you start to do deeper investigations, right? You ask it a question. You might ask it, how many people are living in Amsterdam? And it might tell you 2 million, right? Okay. Which, well, that's not true. So if you just take those things at face value, right, it looks amazing. But if it gives you wrong data, for example, then, well, it's actually hurting you. So that's something what also creates that hype. On face value, on surface level, it looks like a really advanced thing. And of course, there's a lot of companies taking advantage of that, right? They slap some AI on their product so they can increase their subscription prices. While actually, it doesn't really add anything. But of course, the companies, they benefit from marketing as this is going to change the world. This is going to bring you a 10x productivity.
So what you're saying, AI has also bias and the reviews are not always correct.
Oh, absolutely. And indeed, the bias, that's a very good point. Because AI is trained on information. That information, data, is just those large language models like a ChatGPT are trained on pretty much the whole internet almost, right? That contains a lot of good information, but also a lot of bad information. And it contains all the human biases that we have as well. So those biases through the data are embedded into the AIs. So those AIs definitely have biases. And there's another thing, right? So if ChatGPT releases a new model, I think they released one like 2 months ago, it's trained with information up to that point. So what happened last week, the AI actually doesn't know about it unless you specifically tell it to go do its research into it. So it has like this sort of knowledge cutoff that it knows about the world and everything up to this point.
So we always need to be checking if it's accurate or not, the data.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right? So trust but verify.
That's a good point. And how can we understand AI? Like, I think a point that could help us understand what is AI is understand what it can do and with what it cannot do for humans. What can do for entrepreneurs and what it cannot do for entrepreneurs.
Right, it can't run your business for you. You're still gonna have to do it yourself. You're still gonna have to get up every morning, do the hard work, right? But it can improve your productivity. So for example, let's say you need to get through a whole bunch of documents, right? For whatever reason that may be. Now you could ask an AI to summarize those documents for you. So instead of spending, I don't know, 2 hours reading them, you spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes reading the summary. Saves you 1 hour, 50 minutes. But there's a catch, right? Because if you just take that summary, like we said, verify, If you just take that summary and you think you're there may be stuff wrong with it, right? There's the more critical bits in there, especially. You need to then still go and do your homework and check, okay, is that really correct? But it can help you to check those things very targeted, right? To say, okay, I've seen this, this is interesting. Now you go to the real document, original, and you verify, okay, is this actually the case? But you already know what to look for, so you're very fast at that.
What about creating content and marketing strategy? Or in general, creating a sales strategy, marketing strategy, and create content?
Very interesting point. So an AI cannot create your business strategy. It cannot create your marketing strategy because it doesn't really have that intelligence. It can present you like a generic marketing strategy, but that doesn't distinguish you from your competition, right? It's going to get you a bit of notice. It's going to maybe get you a bit of sales, a bit of followers, whatever you're looking for, but it's not going to really set you apart from your competition.
It will not lead you to success, let's say.
Exactly. But what you can use it for, if you already have some rough ID, right? You can help it, but maybe it's too big of an ID, right? You can use AI to help you cut it off up into little pieces. To say like, okay, right, I have this ID, but it doesn't fit in one video, for example. How can I segment it? And then those little chunks you develop on your own again into the details. You can also use it a bit as a sparring partner. It's one thing that I like to do. So instead of talking to an actual human, which is actually often still better, but not always possible, right? Not always convenient. You can ask AI questions and it gives you ideas back. It gives you something that not typically is something that you can genuinely use like that, but it can make you think further and advance your ideas to then get to a better idea for content.
Don't you think we are still in this honeymoon phase, and in the middle term, long term, we're going to see the effects of us trusting too much or not understanding the AI?
Absolutely. So we're already seeing that. There's actually been a lot of companies. There's this concept actually called vibe coding, for example. I'm from the software engineering industry, so those I know the most about those examples. There's this concept called vibe coding. People with no programming experience whatsoever, they just go use an AI to build applications. You can do that now. Right? It's like, okay, let's put a button here and then make it do this and move this a bit more to the left. You just talk to your AI and it creates an application for you. But those applications can be very useful for prototypes. Right? To just get a first idea out, test it a little bit, not to actually use with real people and real data, because there have already been data breaches because of that.
What is a data breach?
People's personal information getting out there, right? Someone hacks it, or you can hardly even call it hacking anymore because the information, how those applications are created, is sometimes just out in the open. Right? It can be that suddenly that photo that you took of your passport to verify your identity plus that selfie is out there. And then people can, of course, abuse that for identity theft and all those kind of things. So those kind of things we're already seeing. And further down the line, we're going to see more of those. And then we're also going to see a next level of that, let's say, where we have used AI now for certain processes in a business for such a long time that it's really embedded. But if there's something fundamentally wrong with that, to try to fix that in 2, 3 years, 5 years from now, it's going to cost a lot of time.
What would be your advice to entrepreneurs and also to corporate people to use AI in their benefit?
Yeah, so first of all, definitely use it, right? I mean, it has its downsides, but it can also be a really good tool. But always be critical of how you use it. So don't just use it for everything, right? Try to have it really use it very purposeful, right? I want to specifically do this one thing in my business, for example. I want to create a monthly report of my sales, right? You can use it for that. Of course, verify again that the results are actually genuine, right? But you can use for those kind of things to do some kind of analytics on your business, right? That can be a very targeted way to use it. And if you do it in the right way, right, with presenting it the right data and all of that, you can definitely get there. But it doesn't work to just upload one PDF to ChatGPT and tell me, okay, now tell me, right, how
What
my
do you
year
think?
went. Like that's not really, that's not gonna get you
You
users.
still need to add this analytic human skill, right?
Exactly.
Yourself, your analytic skill, your yeah.
Exactly, because only you know what to look for. Only you know which metrics are important and which aren't. An AI doesn't know that. Right? It's just able to recompute and recompile the data in another format, present it to you in a different way, for example.
Do you think he's going to replace us all?
No, but it is going to replace some. That's definitely. So it's
Who?
gonna. So the more basic job is, for example, the more likely it is to be replaced. And you can see that, for example, similar to how it used to be when they started to use robots in factories, right? Replacing humans. How did that work? Right? You got machines that start to then put cars together, for example, and they needed less humans. There's still humans around there in the factories putting cars together, right? Because there's not all tasks that a human can do. But their work has changed. And there's actually also new jobs now because they're maintaining those machines as well, those robots, to be able to keep that production going. With AI, it's the same. So it's going to replace the more menial tasks. So if all of your work is just very menial tasks, it might replace you. Yes. Or it might simply allow you, and that's really our advantage as entrepreneurs as well, it might allow you to not spend so much time on the menial tasks and focus on those things that really matter. That's really exactly.
And to these people that might be replaced, or if somebody fears to be replaced by AI, what would you tell them? How can they avoid being replaced?
Change your job. Not in the sense of go look for another job, right? But change how you do it. Let's take software engineering. Let's take just programming, right? Writing software code. A lot of that is now being done by AI. 30% of all the code written at Microsoft is written by AI with a human supervising it, because if not, recipe for disaster again, right? Now, you might see that as a danger. You might think like, oh, my job is writing code, right? But try to see the opportunities. Like, if it writes all the, let's say, boring code for you, then you have time to talk to your business stakeholders and try to make sure that the right ideas are actually getting into your software, right? Try to look for those things in your job that an AI cannot do. And you have more time for those because the AI is going to do the boring stuff. Every job is different, right? People will have to look for that themselves, but that's why I'm quite sure with most jobs, there's plenty of things that you want to do but never have time for. Maybe now through AI, you can have time for that.
What will your conclusion after this talk? What would you tell entrepreneurs? And what would you tell people that works in corporate?
Right. Well, one, AI is here to stay. So it's like the internet, right? 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
And we cannot stop it.
Exactly.
Nobody can stop.
Exactly. Whether you like it or not, right? Learn about it. Learn about more the fundamentals about what it is and what it isn't, and use it. But use it, right? Not in, okay, now AI is going to do all my work and I'm just going to focus on talking to my AI, because you might actually end up spending more time talking to ChatGPT than just doing the work manually, right? Use it there where it can boost your productivity, where it can give you an advantage, but still do work yourself, because it's not going to do everything for you.
To leaders, let's say corporate leaders.
So allow your team to use AI, to experiment with it. Of course, right, within the security and compliance frameworks within your corporation, you always need to take it into account, but there's all kinds of ways that you can manage that. Don't force it onto people. Like, don't shove it down their throats to say, yeah, you're gonna use AI and you're gonna use it like this and this. But definitely allow people to use it to a very large extent. Build knowledge sharing inside your corporation. Have someone that has been using AI now already for a couple of months, have them give a talk to his peers and say, hey, I've been using it for this. And I think this can replace this kind of annoying process that we've been doing. Right? Find those ways and empower people so they can find those ways themselves to have it speed up their work, but encourage also critical thought.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I think I take 3 conclusions out of it, me personally. One, use it, embrace it, understand it, trust, but verify always. Don't lose this human analytic skill. And it definitely will change the way we work and the way we make business. It has already changed.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being with us. This was Power Morning Talks, and see you next time. Trust but verify. Mobile data is turned off.
As long as it still stores on there.